All right, let's go ahead and get going. So, thank you all for joining us today for our Developing Inclusive Leadership panel, which is part of Green Tie 2021. We really appreciate you taking the time to be here with us to learn more about CVI's work. And if you haven't yet, don't forget to head over to the event page for Green Tie, which you can find at cvidaho.org/greentie. And that will have all the details of all the fun stuff we've got happening this week. So tonight, this session will be moderated by CVI's Boards and Commissions Fellowship Coordinator, Tony Belknap-Brinegar, and she'll be joined by members of our inaugural cohort of fellows and some of our mentors as well. And during this discussion, they'll discuss what they've learned through this program and how they plan to utilize their new leadership skills on public boards, commissions, and committees. One quick housekeeping announcement before we get started. You are muted, so if you have any questions, please feel free to drop those in the chat. Our staff is watching to make sure that we can answer your questions. And if you have any questions you'd prefer not to ask the whole group or anything that sort of pops up, please feel free to reach out to CVI staff and we'll be happy to chat with you some more after the panel. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Tony.
Sorry about that, technical difficulties. Hi, my name is Tony Brinegar, and I am, like Cami said, the CVI's Boards and Commissions Coordinator. I just lost my PowerPoint, so just 1 second here. Let me bring it back up, and I'll reshare my screen. There we go. Here we go. And so I thank you guys so much for spending your evening with us to learn more about our Boards and Commissions Fellowship. This is like Cami said, this is the inaugural class. They're learning lots, and so am I. And so what we're going to do today, this is just to go through what tonight's going to look like. I'll give you an overview of the program. We'll talk to the panelists. And we will give you some more information about how you can help us promote the program. And then we'll have question and answer with the panelists. So just a little bit more about myself. My name is Tony Belknap-Brinegar. I currently live in Nampa, Idaho. I'm from a little town in Owyhee County called Homedale, right on the Snake River. And for 20 years, I worked in the field of disability and just recently came over to the conservation movement, which I'm really enjoying. Part of the reason why I wanted to do this program was I did a leadership development program and ran a leadership development program called Partners in Policymaking, and I saw how amazing it was when people found their power. And I'm currently serving as vice chair of the Valley View School Board, and being the only person of color on the board, the demographics of the folks that we wanted to train is something that's near and dear to my heart. And so I was like, please choose me for this job. So how does the Boards and Commissions program fit into CVI's strategic plan? So this is just a very small portion of CVI's strategic plan. And one of the things that I really liked about it is the guiding principles of our differences make us stronger, which I wholeheartedly believe. And I also believe that the more voices we have at the table, the better. And we bring everyone with us, understanding that environmental impacts, negative environmental impacts people of color the most out of all the demographics of people, including people living in poverty. So as we're looking forward on how we can engage folks, we need all voices at the table. And that's exactly what this program aims to do. So what the fellowship program aims, like I said, aims to do is develop leaders to serve on public boards. Now there's a myriad of other boards that are conservation minded that are nonprofits, just like CVI's. However, this program is really targeting public service. The three groups of people we are trying to educate are women, people of color, and people who identify as LGBTQ or the intersection of any of those identities. We want them to develop confidence in their leadership skills, which includes education as well as pairing them with a mentor who's a leader in the community who shares the identities that they have. And we also are teaching everyone about conservation policy. So to apply for the fellowship, the fellows do not have to be experts in environmental or conservation issues. Those are things that we teach them along the way with the intent that they will adopt a pro-conservation mindset once they start serving on a public board and commission. So this is going to be our first polling question. So Josh, if you can pull up the first poll. And the question is, which is the public board and commission or committee? So we're going to give you all about 15 seconds to choose one. So is it the Electronic Recording Commission, the Weed Management Commission, the Feral Cat and Animal Commission, or the Idaho Public Waste Advisory Council? So Josh, go ahead and close the poll. The correct answer, the correct answer is the Electronic Recording Commission. So there are 198 state boards, commissions, and task forces currently in the state of Idaho. Then each city has their own public boards and commissions, and then some of the counties have boards and commissions as well, depending on what their needs are. So there's actually a lot of opportunity for the public to serve if they so choose. So the next polling question, number 2, who decides who will serve? Is it the county commissioners, city council people, current board and commission members, or all of the above? So we'll give you about 10 seconds to answer that one. Okay, Josh, go ahead and close the poll. Correct answer is the county commissioners. So the governor, county commissioners, mayors, all, and sometimes the public decide who's on public boards and commissions. Now, the board members usually, depending on the board, how big it is and what their bylaws are, the board or commissioners might review the applications and recommend individuals to the deciding body, whether it be the mayor, the governor, or the commissioners. But usually the body does not appoint their own, but it really depends on what the bylaws are. So here's an example of the city of Nampa, of how many opportunities people have to serve. So this entire list is people that the mayor of my city, Nampa, Mayor Debbie Kling, gets to appoint to different positions within the city. So this is pretty vast. And while some of them you need specialized education, like the fire chief or the finance director, there's lots of other opportunities where people's voices need to be heard. For instance, if you have any expertise on the elderly or aging population, the Council on Aging might be a good fit for you. Or if you're somebody who's receiving services through the aging community, that might be a good fit for you. So there's lots of different opportunities to serve. So the goals of the boards and commission are to recruit the three groups of folks that I told you previously, then also pair them with mentors. And then when they are learning, assist them in becoming appointed to public boards and commissions through relationship development and promotion, as well as linking them with folks during the program. And then follow them and provide support, and also recruit them to become speakers and mentors for future sessions. One of the things that I really want to stress here is the support piece is critical, because we're asking folks who normally have not had seats at the table to be at the table. So building a good support network so folks can heal and make sure that when adversity comes, that they're ready and they can deal with it, is really a critical component if we want to see true change. Here are just a few of the topics that we're covering in the fellowship: public budgets, power mapping, parliamentary procedures, how decisions are made, communication and conflict management, and really important one here, how you show up in social media, because once you're appointed, you are considered a public official. So with that, I'm going to have our panelists introduce themselves. We have 4 panelists: Salome, Tia, and Maria, and Meredith. And so I'm going to stop my share so we can see each other. And so I have a few questions for you, and we're going to go fellows first. So Salome, you'll go first, and then Tia, and then Meredith and Maria. So first question is, what's your name and where do you live, and what's your role in the fellowship?
So my name is Salome Mwangi, and I live in Boise, Idaho, and I am a fellow.
Yeah.
My name is Tia. I also live in Boise, and I am a fellow.
I am Meredith Stead. I live in Boise, and I am a mentor.
And my name is Maria Gonzalez. And while I live in Boise, I want to say that I did live in Nampa for 35 years. And I'm a mentor also.
Great. Thank you guys for being here. So the second question is, why did you say yes to participating in the fellowship? What was it about it that drew you to it? And we'll go in the same order. Salome?
I think I was getting a little heartbroken and a little bit frustrated at seeing that the interests of the marginalized populations like myself, like the refugees who are being resettled in the city, were not being represented at the table when important decisions about the cities and the communities that we live in were being made.
I've spent my entire career in healthcare thus far, and I super enjoy caring for people and caring for individuals. But I think what led me to the fellowship more than anything was the opportunity to learn and to feel more comfortable in those types of spaces, such as leadership and civic engagement. And so, as I think for a lot of people who became more engaged over the past few years in following the news, following what was happening, I found myself becoming a little more passionate and wanting to become a part of the decision-making process. So becoming more comfortable in civic leadership, learning how to take action, and for me, really finding out where, other than healthcare, I could make a change. So essentially, I interact with individuals on a daily basis, and I think that helps make a difference in the community, but being on a board or commission could affect more people.
I said yes to the program for a few reasons. I have been, I guess, very active in community engagement for the last 5 years or so, but it was really hard to figure out, how, once you have that passion, then there's a really big question of like, okay, now what? How do I get involved? How do I get engaged? And it's not easy to find that space. And it really took some great people that I respect to guide me into getting involved. And so I wanted to be a part of that, maybe for somebody else, a part of the solution of how and what and how does it happen. And then my connection with CVI, because I ran for city council in 2019, and I was lucky to have the endorsement of CVI. And I saw just a tiny glimpse, I'm sure, of all of the effort that went in to making my campaign a success. And I made it much farther than I would have without the support of CVI. And so I wanted to do what I could to support the organization, but certainly also very much believed in the mission of the program.
Okay, there are probably a couple of reasons. I'll go with on the professional side, and then I'll share on the personal side. So I've been in Idaho a long time. I've been involved since I was a junior in high school. I've had the opportunity to live, in the Magic Valley, Mini-Cassia area, Eastern Idaho, and in Southwest Idaho for a lot of years. Definitely as a Latina, as a former farm worker, and just really active at the civic engagement because of my dad, who is a US citizen. My mom was from Mexico. For me, it's like truly, truly a priority that we are represented, right? That's from the side of being Mexican descent. And then as a woman and the mother of 4, it's really, really critical that we have our voices at the table. And so I'm very passionate about progressive work. And I did run for the state legislature 3 times. And the last time I ran was to mentor young Latinas who are thinking of running for office in the future. So this is an opportunity to give. And of course, on the personal side, I truly wanted to support Tony in her work with CVI and in this effort. And so that was my other.
Thanks, Maria. Yes, Maria was the person who actually said to me, hey, I have this job opportunity that I think would be great for you. So she's the reason why I even applied for this job. So
That's cool.
I had to pull her in somehow. So the third question is, if for the mentors, what boards and commissions have you been affiliated with, or how, like, what civic engagements have you actually engaged in? And for the mentors, what boards and commissions are you thinking of getting involved with, or you're already involved? So we'll start with Salome and go the same way.
All right, so what boards and commissions, or what role am I playing?
So which boards and commissions are you thinking of being involved in, or you're already involved, either public or nonprofit?
So I currently sit on the board for the Idaho Nonprofit Center, started in January of this year. And I also sit on the board of the Idaho Museum of International Diaspora, started a little bit later this year. And I also sit on the board of a Friends nonprofit, which is actually out of Grand Rapids in Michigan. So I think I have more experience outside the public boards and commissions. But I think the way the boards are run are kind of like the same across the board. So you need to know what's the decorum and how do you present and how do you, what are the keywords that you need to speak, and how do you form alliances within the board members to further whatever it is that that is, the cause that is close to your heart and that you need to be that needs to be promoted. So obviously the boards and commission out of Michigan, I know my friend Joanne, I knew her mom, and this was passion, a passion of her mom. So we're just continuing with the work of this amazing woman that we both know and love. And then the ones that I'm sitting on right now here in Idaho, the Idaho nonprofit and the Idaho Museum for International Diaspora, is a learning process for me because I've never really, they're open. I remember some of the conversations we've had with you, Tony, about some of the challenges of being a person of color sitting in a place that is predominantly white, if I may say that. And so how do you navigate that? Because it's very easy to feel intimidated and just feel like I'm just going to sit here and be the flavor in the room, or how can I use this flavor to color and to curry whatever board I'm sitting on in order to make sure that there is equity and inclusivity and diversity, not just for the board, but also for the populations that we represent.
Great. And what public boards are you interested in learning more about as you come to the close of the fellowship?
So one of the ones I've really been thinking about is the Boise School District and the West Ada School District, because I realized that there's a lot of our children fall through the gaps through the school system because they're being treated to a standard that is not necessarily theirs, or that they do not understand, or that their parents have no clue what's going on. And so you'll find that there's very many things that fall through the cracks, or things that are elevated that truly shouldn't be elevated if they're viewed through the correct lens. So I would love to be able to sit in a place where we are able to say, hey, this is one lens, one way to view this. Have you considered viewing it through this other lens? And I'll just give a quick example. In the cultures that we come from, if you look at somebody in the eye, then it means that they're challenging their authority. So we think that teachers and police and the lawyers and the doctors are people who are in authority over us. So there's very many times you'll find somebody is not looking at the teacher in the eye, and it's not because there's anything suspicious going on. They're just actually expressing their respect for the teacher. I feel like if many other people knew that that is what is going on, that they would be able to continue with that conversation without feeling like we need to stop and address why you're not looking me in the face. And that's just one very basic example. So being able to talk about the other views that are there, and not just mine, but inviting other people from the community to come and be able to speak into that. So the two school districts that are closest to where I live, and recently I'm grateful to Meredith, she just sent me information about the Boise libraries. And my daughter has been a great beneficiary of the Boise Library, really amped up her passion for reading and reading so many books, more books than I could possibly have bought for her. And I'm just thinking, hey, that's a really great place. And we've always, with the work that I do at the Idaho Office for Refugees, we've always worked with the Boise libraries to bring the voices of the refugees and the immigrants into their space. And I think that would be a great way to get in there and amplify that work that's already being done.
Thanks, Salome. How about you, Tia?
Well, first off, this is why I love this fellowship so much. I feel like I learned so much from all the fellows, as well as the content you give us. I always enjoy listening to Salome. So thank you for that. It does appear that she is leaps and bounds ahead of me as far as her board's experience. So I actually have not served on any public boards or commissions. I do serve on a council at St. Luke's. I work for St. Luke's Orthopedics as a clinical staff member there, as well as a preoperative educator. So I am on a council, a care council, but as far as boards and commissions, I am in new territory, which is exciting. As far as what I was looking initially upon finding out about this, the fellowship and this opportunity, was very much in the lens of what I know. So initially I was really interested in, and I still am to some extent, the Department of Health and Welfare had a program called the HEAL program, the Healthy Eating, Active Living. As a health coach and athletic trainer, those are my passions. And so I was looking very closely at that program. It sounds like that program's kind of being revamped. So I've been on pause as far as pursuing activity there or involvement there. The other commission that I was really interested in initially was the Idaho Commission of Aging. I work with a lot of older populations. Preoperative joint education is what I teach and facilitate. So a lot of my population's a little bit older, and you know, the idea of keeping people in their homes as opposed to having them in, you know, larger care facilities is a huge passion of mine. Wellness and just living well in general. So that was where my focus was kind of honed in on when we started. All of our conversations were on that, but it's amazing as I've opened, you know, my eyes and my mind and just listening to others, I'm learning about what else is out there. So Salome, I also am interested in the library. I'm a huge reader and a huge beneficiary of the library. So I've looked into that. I've also looked into the Parks and Recreation for the city. I'm a huge, you know, trail runner and ultra runner, so I avid user. But then other things that I didn't really think of, I've started to look into a little bit more. So I'm not sure, there's so many things I'm interested in. I've actually kind of gone the other way of I'm still dabbling on exploring a lot of things. So I'm unsure where and what I'll get involved in, but as I learn more, I feel like there's more things I want to do, which is kind of consistent with what some other people I've talked to in this program. So I guess the future is open and we'll see.
Thanks, Tia.
I love that. I love hearing from you guys. I was lucky to sit in on a session and just love the conversations, really some interesting progressive things going on there. But I serve currently on the Boise City Planning and Zoning Commission, and I'm in my second term as the chair of that commission. So that's my public commission experience, board and commission experience. I've been on some nonprofit boards as well, but public-wise, P&Z is where I'm at.
Thanks, Maria.
Yes, most of the boards that I have served on are nonprofit organizations, whether Western State Center up in Portland, Oregon, or here locally, many of them that were Latinx focused, whether Mujeres Unidas de Idaho, the Idaho Hispanic Caucus. But currently I'm serving, kind of like Salome said, because of a friend, on the board of the National Institute for Civil Discourse out of Washington, D.C. But that's been my experience. I appreciated what Salome said, that right, it's the same. And I know that for me, I had to learn and grow, right, as I became involved with Idaho Women's Network many years ago, when the network was around in Boise. But usually I've chosen both women, right, for women's issues, and then Latinx. Those have been the two areas definitely where my passion and my heart is at. So I've enjoyed the fellow that I'm working with, because we've done so much. She's just so energetic, and just because of her and this role as a mentor, I participated virtually with the Idaho Human Rights Commission at their meeting the week before last, because that was a goal that we had set. And then it'd been a while since I participated with the Commission on Hispanic Affairs. So last Tuesday, right, I participated with that commissioners basically meeting. So that's what I've sort of taken away. I feel like I'm giving, but then it sort of has motivated me, right, to one of my philosophies has been, you know, don't just ask somebody to do something if you yourself aren't willing to do it. So I feel that this And working with Alicia has provided me an opportunity to do that and to help her out as I'm coaching her too. So
Thank you. Yeah, Alicia is great. She has, I think she's probably the only Latina who is in the union, a Latina female that's in the union right now. So she's doing a lot, just holding her own in a union that's mostly dominated by men. So she's doing great. So the next question is, what have you learned so far? And when I say that, I mean, what's the most valuable piece of information you've learned or experience that you've had so far in the fellowship? Salome, are you ready? Are you okay?
I am. I'm trying to remember what it was called.
Was it power mapping?
There was the power mapping, and I think along with the power mapping was like the 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
And that was such an eye-opener to me, because I think a lot of times I feel like, oh, I don't know this person. And, I'd like to reach them, because if I can reach them, then, things can get moving. And I realized I may not know that person, but I most likely know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody who knows them. And so just tapping into the resources that I already have, even though I don't think I have them, that was an amazing aha moment for me. I moved here from Kenya. And so for 17 years, I've been telling myself, I don't know people in this community. I don't know people in this community. And I realized I do. I may not know them directly, but I can tap into the relationships that I already have in order to reach the other one, not realizing that I'm already doing that, because I did work in healthcare there for a while. And I always have people calling me and saying, hey, I'm looking for a doctor who da 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 da. And I'm able to say, oh, let me connect you. And I realized that's already one, right? Or even two at this. And so that for me fueled that the passion to go on and not to give up, because I realized I don't know them, but I can get to them through the people that I already know.
Awesome. How about you, Tia?
There's so much. So to cut it down to just one thing, I mean, I hadn't been involved. A lot of people here, everyone else, in fact, had been very involved in the community in some way, shape, or form. And, I'd always had the desire to have my voice heard. And I just, I never knew how to do it and felt strong enough, I think. And so seeing a lot of other people who are minorities, or other women too, have these other experiences that they that they recall and how they got through that and how they learned to speak up. That's been really powerful overall. That's probably been the biggest takeaway for me. I'm a very cerebral person. I really like the breakdown of, we've worked on self-care and we've worked on, communication, legislative issues and conservation. And I can rattle off a lot of the things that I've learned detail-wise. But I think the takeaway is not only knowing that, but knowing how to use them and feeling confident enough to do so. And so working with other fellows, working with the mentors and all of the speakers has really given me a lot more confidence to go out and I guess use those skills. And I haven't yet, but I'm super excited to do that. I guess that's kind of there's so many other things that I could go into, like all the details. But I think that's the biggest thing and the most important thing that I will take away and use moving forward, as opposed to being on the sidelines. I'll be more involved.
Awesome. Thanks, Tia. You're the poster child for the program. You're exactly who we want to reach. So you're doing great. Meredith?
Yeah, you definitely have to start somewhere, right? I told Salome this story in our meeting the last time, but something she said to me just really knocked me off my socks. And it was, she had coordinated a kind of like train the trainer session to help the immigrant population get connected with vaccines and how to message that. And one of the refugees on the call kept going back to the mutations, but what about the mutations? And the pharmacist is saying like, oh, the vaccine will help with that. It's still a threat, but not as bad. And they couldn't get past the mutations. And then it occurred to her that they were thinking about mutations as in you're going to sprout horns and a tail if you get the vaccine, and the vaccine might help with that, but it won't be as bad, but it's still going to happen. And that was such a aha moment for me, because that's why we need all types of people at the table, when decisions are being made. And that is not a language issue, right? They're understanding the word, they're understanding the meaning of the word, but it's a context, it's cultural. That's a really different kind of issue. And I think that to me was such a huge takeaway, and so indicative of why this is so important, because that needs to be addressed, if we're hoping to offer vaccines to some of our immigrant populations. But so that was just a moment, but that to me was like, oh yeah, this is why we're here, and this is why this is so important, and is a reminder just even in every day about the different understandings of the same, appropriate understanding of a word or of a context or meaning, and something really important to just continue to take with me. Yeah.
That's great. Thank you both. Maria?
Yeah, I think I probably in my last go around, took two strands of what has been great beyond. It's been really awesome working with Alicia and sort of knowing back to relationships, right? Because it's all about relationships, who she's connected to, and just to see, right? Even as old as I am, as long as I've been in Idaho versus up and coming young Latina, right? So that's really neat. But I know that because, Tony, we get some of the information on what is being covered. I know I've enjoyed some of the TED Talks or some of the links, some of the articles that you sent. I've really, really enjoyed that. And the two strands that I had shared earlier, just to be able to participate, right? Because the two commissions that I mentioned are those that Alicia is interested in. And so in order for me to do my best job, right, I've got to, be as knowledgeable as I can. So that's sort of like my big takeaway is ensure that I'm up to date on what's going on, right, in Idaho and within our community. So yes.
Thank you. Okay, last question, and then we'll move back to the slideshow. So, big question is, what are you most looking forward to after the fellowship ends? Salome?
I'm looking forward to so many things. I'm looking forward to inviting other people who are not at the table and letting them know, hey, here's the foundation that you need to build upon as you go out into the community and look for spaces that you can serve. Because I know that for the longest time, what held me back is because I felt like I don't know what to say, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to navigate that. Do you just knock on the door and say, hey, I want to be a board member? But now I'm equipped with that. And I know that there's so many other refugees and immigrants who are in this community who would definitely benefit from this. Two, I would be more than happy to walk alongside somebody the same way that Meredith has done with me and ask me questions that I sometimes don't want to listen to, or questions that I don't want to hear because it's too hard, it's too busy, I'm too this, I'm too that. But also to have her validate me and the things that I'm doing and make me realize, hey, you're on the right path. Don't give up just yet. So I'd love to do that. And eventually, after all is said and done, because Idaho is a huge state with what, 98 boards and commissions. And so I'd like to serve on one that I know will make a difference to the community. So not just to me, because it's one thing to sit on a board and for people to Google my name and say, oh my goodness, you sit on this board. And it's quite another to actually be on a board where I am a valuable member of the board and where we are rowing in the same direction to the benefit of the entire community. And so, and I would like to do more than one eventually, or, you know, go to one and then go to the other, and change the community that we live in for the better, because then everybody has a spot at the table and is welcome to sit on it.
How about you, Tia?
I want to be rowing in that boat with Salome. I guess I also feel the same. I think the first thing that comes to mind is having a little bit more time to get involved, you know, as some of these mandates are getting rolled back. Also, we got to meet some of our current fellows this past weekend on Saturday, which was great. Not everyone was there, but in order to get together, I've met, you know, most of my meetings thus far have all been through Zoom. And so actually to meet and get together and exchange ideas, and to continue to do that with other people in order to find where I'd like to serve. But ultimate goal, of course, is to make a difference and to be rowing the same way with other people, or potentially, you know, changing the direction of the boat if no one else is with you. So at least raising my voice, raising my concern, and having the strength to do it. So I look forward to doing it, I guess, as we move forward.
Thanks, Tia.
I look forward to seeing you do it, Tia. That's what I'm looking forward to, is seeing these change makers all with the confidence now to go make that change and go out in the community and be active. I would say that you know, you want it to be the right fit, but also don't let, you know, it doesn't have to be the perfect marriage the first time you're getting involved. It's not a lifetime commitment. You know, I would encourage anybody to, you know, to move forward. I think you know, it's opportunity and preparedness equals success, and this program is the preparedness. You know, you are prepared for this, and now you just need the opportunity. And so that's, you know, maybe somebody saying like, hey, I think you'd be great at this, or it's somebody, you know, you hear about something and you know, you might not get the first application, you might not get the first commission or board that you apply for, but that's all part of the process too. So I would encourage you all to go for it and not just get hung up in the details of, is this the right one? Nobody asked for my advice on that, but that's what I'll leave everybody with.
No, that's awesome. How about you, Maria?
Well, I know for sure that that I'm staying in contact, right, with my fellow, for sure. And we've already talked about several things, right, for future, to continue to support her. I feel that even though the program, quote unquote, is coming to a quote unquote end, that there is no end, right? So one of the things we really talked about being committed to continue to stay in touch and hopefully work on a couple of things together. So I know I'm looking forward, right, to that longer term relationship. And then from my end, for you all, Tia and Salome, especially Salome, that beyond serving on a board, I think look at it, serving on the board or a commission, but then being the chair or the lead of that, and then springboarding beyond that to run, kind of like Meredith did for city council or for the state legislature, right? That all of this can be used to build on it. And then that when you do remember my name, so that we can support you with time and talents or with dollars, right? So that's what I have to say.
Maria. Yes, you guys are so wise. I don't know what I'm going to do without all of you. Okay, so for the folks out there in Zoom land, how can you help? So just like we talked about, you can encourage folks to learn more about the program, invite others to reach out to me for a meeting. I am hosting one-on-one meetings, either face-to-face or Zoom. I'm fully vaccinated. So our policy within CVI is that we, if we're fully vaccinated, we can resume meeting face-to-face. And then we have 2 more years of this program. So figuring out if can you be a mentor? Do you know somebody who can be a mentor? Do you have speakers in mind for any of the topics that I shared? And there's more. And then also fellows, recruiting fellows, and figuring out who is somebody who wants to serve, doesn't know how, and just needs that extra push to get them involved. And that's how we can help. That's how we need help. So if there's any questions, I don't think we have very many people on, so there probably won't be a whole lot of questions, but I didn't see any in the chat or in the Q&A. But I did want to thank you guys. And while you were talking, Meredith, I was thinking about a saying that I learned not just a couple weeks ago, where I was spending time with a few people on Zoom, doing some self-reflection and storytelling. And one of the speakers talked about how she's been trying to break down a brick wall for so long, and she's been hitting her head in her fists and everything's bloody because she's just really trying to get through this brick wall. And a dear friend of hers said, "Go through the open door." And she was like, "Oh." And the friend said, "You know, the doors are there. You just have to look for them." And I feel like this fellowship is the door. It's a way into a space where all of us that are on the Zoom call right now who have marginalized identities have been denied access systemically. And so we need this push. We need this door. It's open. Let's invite folks in to come through so that we can have our voices heard. And just like Salome and Meredith talked about, it's so important to have a variety of voices at the table because we don't know what we don't know. So I just thank you so much for all of your time. And I thank everybody out in Zoom land. And I would like to invite Cami back to close us out.
Yeah, thank you. That was really wonderful, powerful conversation. I deeply enjoyed hearing from all of you, wonderful, wise women. We noticed yesterday that our panels are wonderfully composed of women. We have, we think maybe one of the first all-female conservation public lands panels happening tomorrow, and that's really uncommon in the conservation world. So pretty stoked for how CVI has gathered some wonderful, strong women around us. So again, thank you all so much for joining us today. We really appreciate you being here and sharing your time with us. We do want to invite you to check out the rest of what we've got happening this week. We do have, as I mentioned, a panel on conservation and public lands tomorrow at the noon hour, and then a really special conversation with our partners at Inclusive Idaho happening at 6 p.m. tomorrow. And then on Thursday during the noon hour, we will be talking about our elections work. And then our Green Tie keynote will be taking place at 7 p.m. on Thursday evening. You can sign up for all of those sessions on our website, cvidaho.org/greentie, and Josh will drop that link in the chat as well. We do also have an online auction happening this week as part of Green Tie. So you can use the link in the chat to check that out as well. There's some amazing items up for grabs that speak to all different interests and activity levels in the outdoors as well. Whether you're a beer garden person or a hike Mount Everest person, we've got something for everyone. So I encourage you to check that out. And then of course, Green Tie is our annual fundraiser. And this year we're very lucky. We've secured a $25,000 match for all the funds that are raised this week. So if you do choose to make a gift to support our work, that will be doubled and your dollars will support us with even more. So we really hope that you've enjoyed the session. I know I've really enjoyed the session, and we do want to thank you again for being here with us tonight and sharing your time. And if you have any other questions about the fellowship program or about CVI's work in general, please feel free to reach out to myself or to Tony. And if you know someone who might be a great fit for the fellowship program, either as a mentor or as a fellow, also send them Tony's way. She's looking for them. And with that, thank you all and have a wonderful evening.